I like ice cream, but if you told me that in order to get that ice cream, I'd have to do chores for 2 days, I'd be like, well, what kind of ice cream? If you told me chocolate chip cookie dough, I'd say you've got yourself a deal. But if you told me pistachio, now see, that's not an ice cream, that's a sad excuse for a food, and now you've made me angry. I would say no deal, and you can take your chores and try your devil's cell on the next fool. I would also say that I'm a 27-year-old man and I can purchase my own ice cream, but that's beside the point. What I'm so beautifully illustrating with ice cream flavors can be applied to anything in life. This is simple, everyday negotiation. The concept doesn't even require someone else to negotiate with. You can talk yourself into or out of doing anything because everything in life is a simple negotiation. And what is more important in life than video games? Gamers are humans too, and they negotiate with every single thing they do inside a game. You may ask yourself, why do I play my favorite game? Why do I like MOBAs instead of first-person shooters? Should I grind for 30 hours just to get enough reputation to buy that one unique transmog off that specific vendor? This is all personal negotiation. It's something that you do whether you actively think about it or not. Want versus need is a general concept that can describe a human's decision-making process and is relevant to all humans since the dawn of man. In its most simplest form, a need is something that provides value in the form of fulfilling a necessary function. Outside of video games, humans need water, food, shelter, and maybe clothing. Inside of video games, the concept takes on a bit of a different form. Since your character doesn't need to breathe or drink to function inside a game, a need is defined as what you have to do in order to meet whatever your goal in that game is. Basically, a need is a means to an end, with the concept being much looser inside a fictional world. In order to complete this quest, I need to kill 4 boars.
For the horse!
In order to get to level 60 and join my friends in raiding, I need to get more experience and level up. A want is something that improves your quality of life. A want outside a video game is a new car, a mansion, or cracking open a cold one with the boys. It's something that would make you happy or improve your social standing or intelligence. Inside a video game, this too can take on many forms, but the concept is the same. What about your game makes you happy? What features do you enjoy the most? Do you want to be really good at PvP, or maybe you want to be the best dressed on your server? So put them together and you have want versus need. I want to join my guild in the latest raid, but in order to do that, I need to download a bunch of add-ons and grind my weekly power system. I want to get this cool mount, but in order to get it, I need to make sure I run this old raid every week to try my luck on getting it to drop from the last boss. The base question is, how much do I want to put up with to enjoy the game my way? So let's look at this from the other side of the table. A game designer is going to have to predict what their players want to do and how much the player will enjoy what they need to do. MMORPG game designers have this problem the most. They have to create an entire living world with hundreds of thousands of players online at one time and have to predict how each of them wants to play the game. MMOs need to attract as many people as possible and provide a level of quality to each of these features in order to get players to stay. That's what makes an MMO an MMO. But the more features you have to attract a wider audience, the less time you have to focus on the quality of any one of those features. So MMOs are constantly caught between a choice of making a couple high quality features or a wide variety of normal quality things to do. Not very often do we see games that have the amount of time or resources to be perfect at everything they do. It's also important to note that if you do have a game that is perfect at everything, it's most likely at the cost of putting something else in the game. That's just how time works. Time is finite, a game can't be everything at once. So I just took a whole lot of time to define want versus need, but the main point I want to make is this. Video games are a form of entertainment. Entertainment by definition is a want, not a need. 90% of people are going to look for what they want to do in a game, not what they need to do. In my opinion, World of Warcraft is currently suffering from a lack of awareness of what a large portion of the player base wants. Now, the first thing I want to mention about any personal negotiation is that everyone's negotiation is going to be different. It's in the title. So all game designers can do is predict what the largest portions of their player base want. The WoW team is no different. All they can do is make an educated guess based on whatever feedback they receive and what the current climate of the marketplace is, or basically what other games are doing successfully. So I do want to point out that I was actually incredibly excited for what they talked about in the Dragonflight reveal. Things like dragon riding that make the process of travel so much more engaging, or a profession system that requires thought and input from the player and not just a profession skill level. These features are wants, not needs. They are not required if you don't want to participate in them. And the talent trees are an excellent way to create incentive to complete a need. The need is the act of leveling and getting strong enough to be endgame ready. The talent tree supplements the required gameplay of completing quests and grinding dungeons for levels by giving smaller achievable goals to give your brain that happy juice. It also gives max level players an incentive to have fun with their builds and try to find what works best for them in their situation. I think they are headed in the right direction, but these are just promises so far, and we need to see how they execute these ideas before we give them due praise. In the past, execution is where they have fallen short. I think the best example is Torghast. Over time, Torghast has actually been updated to be a bit better, but I think the whole Torghast system was used in a way that damned it from the start. Torghast is a completely different game inside World of Warcraft. It's a roguelite, slightly randomized dungeon crawler. In theory, it was supposed to be similar to how Hades or the Binding of Isaac work, where you clear floors of enemies and get randomized power-ups along the way. Each floor gets progressively more difficult, but each power-up makes you noticeably stronger. Now, whether or not you actually like running Torghast, one of the first mistakes they made was tying it into the main progression of the game. What this did was make Torghast a need instead of a want. If you want to build your character's legendary gear, you need to complete Torghast and max your Soul Ash cap. You need to complete the specific wing of Torghast that drops your legendary memory. After you get that memory, you never need to run that wing again, so at the beginning of the expansion, when everyone was rushing to complete all the content, Torghast was immediately named Chorghast. Not because it couldn't be fun, but because the fun was taken away by the necessity of the content. Think about it, if your best friend asked you to come over and hang out, that would be awesome. It sounds like you could do anything, and it gives you the freedom to do whatever you and your buddy want to do. But what if then that friend says that while you hang out, he needs your help to pack up his apartment and move somewhere else? Well, now hanging out seems less appealing because as much as you may want to help your friend in a time of need, that's not how you would define hanging out. Moving is a chore. It takes time, attention, and heavy lifting. Torghast was the same way. The content itself wasn't that bad, and over time it was made to be much better, but shoving in the necessity of completing Torghast for your legendary turned what could have been fun and relaxing content into a chore. I want to have fun playing a roguelite version of World of Warcraft with my favorite characters, but I need to get my legendary memory and make sure I play on the same character twice a week to get my Soul Ash. There are other examples of this in the game too, like how the WoW team tries to time gate certain content. The freedom of choosing when and how long to play is blocked by the WoW team saying, nope, sorry, this week you only get this amount of Soul Ash, this amount of Conquest, and this amount of Covenant Reputation. The Conquest caps are being removed in 9.2.5, and the other two have had multiple catch-up systems introduced now that they are basically irrelevant content, which kind of illustrates my point here. Time gating creates an urgency. It forces you to move at a certain pace. If you move too fast, you are forced to slow down. If you move too slow, you have more catch-up work to do next time you log in to keep up with everyone else. This takes away a sense of reward for your time playing. You are literally being told how much or how little reward you will get from the gameplay, and that can easily turn a want into a need. Needs are not inherently a bad thing. Needs can be fun content that are just a stepping stone to a reward. But in order for a need to be a good thing, the game either has to give you a reward that's worth it, or make the gameplay for that need good enough to make you want to complete it. And that's where game designers have their biggest challenge. How do you create the gameplay of a need to have a good reward and satisfying gameplay? If Torghast had the tower knowledge and the run grading systems in place from the start, maybe more players would have had enough fun to justify it being a chore. Like I said, a lot of this is subjective. Want versus need negotiations are going to be different for everyone, but one thing is true for most people. Humans like freedom. Forcing someone to do a task, even if that task is a form of entertainment, makes that task inherently less fun. Why do you think humans have to be rewarded for anything they do that is considered work? If humans had the choice to do whatever they want without any guarantee of reward, none of the needs of the world would be met. In the real world, money drives the incentive to complete these needs. Most forms of entertainment would not exist without a monetary system because their creation takes hundreds of people, hundreds of hours, and millions of dollars of equipment to complete. But you aren't playing video games for money. You pay money to play a video game. So in the future, when you play a game with too many needs versus wants, ask yourself, why does it feel like we're being asked to work for our entertainment when we've already paid? But most importantly, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you liked it and subscribe for more content. I hope you have fun looking at the world through the eyes of a personal negotiator, and I can't wait to see what we talk about next.